With Caitlin Clark sidelined for the WNBA All-Star Game, the pressure was on the players. This was their chance to prove they were worth the spotlight and the big money they're demanding. They made their statement on the court, but the fans, they made a big statement of their own. And ESPN doesn't want you to know about it. The viewership numbers came out, and once again, ESPN is running cover for the league and its players.
It's fine to just say, just post the ratings. But, it is another situation than pretending like Caitlin Clark does.
Caitlin Clark's fans called them out immediately because this isn't the first time they've tried to bury her impact. But this time, after what went down on the court, it's backfiring big time. Let's break it all down. But first, like this video if you're tired of ESPN's tricks. And subscribe for more Caitlin Clark and WNBA updates. So ESPN has a habit when it comes to Caitlin Clark's impact on viewership. They don't lie, but they definitely don't tell the full story. Instead, they cherry-pick. They use numbers that are technically true, but only the ones that fit the narrative they want to sell. And when it comes to Caitlin, the numbers they don't mention are even more telling. Take this for example. After the 2025 WNBA draft, ESPN proudly reported that viewership was up 119%. At first glance, that looks like a massive win for the league. But look a little closer, and you'll notice something odd. They're comparing it to 2023. So, why skip 2024? Anyone in marketing or media will tell you. You compare year over year. This year versus last year, not this year versus 2 years ago. So, why would ESPN skip the draft from 2024? Because that was Caitlin Clark's draft, the one that drew 2.45 million viewers. And if they compared against that, the real headline would have been this: draft viewership is down 49%. But they didn't want that story out there. And the truth is, this isn't a one-off. They pulled the same trick during March Madness in 2025 in the second round, the Sweet 16, and the Elite 8. ESPN compared viewership numbers to 2023. Now, Caitlin was in the tournament that year, so at first glance, it seems fair. But then the moment they got to the Final Four in the national title game, suddenly the comparison stopped. No more 2023. Instead, they just said, third highest ever, which sounds impressive until you remember the 2 years ahead of it were 23 and 24. Both years Caitlin made the Final Four. So, what happens if they do show the full numbers? They'd have to admit viewership dropped by over 10 million. So yeah, they'll compare against Caitlin Clark if they beat her numbers. But if they don't, silence. That's not an oversight. That's deliberate. And the funniest part, they don't think fans will catch it. They think if they throw out enough big-sounding stats, people will believe. Women's basketball just keeps setting records without Caitlin Clark. When in reality, they're making it even more obvious. It's the Strand effect. It's what happens when you try to hide something. And by doing so, you draw away more attention to it. That's what ESPN's doing right now. And Caitlin's fans, they catch it instantly and call it out every single time, because every spin, every selective stat, every dodge just proves one thing: Caitlin Clark is driving the growth, and clearly they don't want us to know that. But it's not just ESPN. It's a problem across the entire W ecosystem, because every time the league, the players, or the media try to downplay Caitlin's impact, they don't diminish her. They just expose themselves. And honestly, at this point, it's become a comedy. When Caitlin Clark, one-time Athlete of the Year, the backlash came fast. Not because she didn't deserve it, but because apparently everyone in the league deserved it. There were actual calls to include all WNBA players on the cover, as if the award was for participation. Funny how that standard only shows up with Caitlyn, because when Asia Wilson or Breanna Stewart or Nafa Collier get featured by Time or Sports Illustrated, nobody's asking for a group photo. And it didn't stop there. Caitlyn won an SB, and her own coach couldn't congratulate her publicly without immediately shifting credit to every other player in the league.
Heard about it, but during the game, Caitlyn got honored as the WNBA Player of the Year in the ESPYs. Just what does it mean to have her impact so far? I mean, there are a lot of really good players in this league, and she got honored as the best player in the league by the ESPYs.
Yeah, I mean, obviously she continues to get new awards. She continues to break barriers. She continues to do things that we haven't seen before. I mean, obviously you think about the Stewie's MVPs of the league, and championship winners, and Asia's MVPs of the league and championship winners, and of course Sue Bird, who was sitting in the building today. And Caitlyn is so fortunate, as well as all these guys, really. I mean, that they don't know anything any different than the WNBA.
That's how fragile the ecosystem is around her. Even praise has to be politically negotiated. And when the media does acknowledge Caitlyn's popularity, it's never on her own merit.
I just said we would not be talking about Caitlyn Clark the way that we do if it wasn't for that moment with Angel Reese. And I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill.
I was with you until that.
I will die on this hill.
I will die on this hill. I was with you until I will die on this hill. They say it's because of someone else. A rivalry, a moment, a narrative. Anything but the actual player pulling the numbers. And when they do admit she has millions of fans, suddenly those fans are a problem.
The new fans are sucking life out of the WNBA right now.
We'll start with you, Kels, because Lord Jesus, your team and their fans,
Jesus,
they be getting up in everybody's business.
I think so many fans, feel they have the freedom to say whatever they want to us, and unfortunately, there's a lot of nasty things that come with it. They don't have people coming to their job saying these nasty things. So, we definitely have to protect.
And then it escalates. Caitlyn's fans aren't just loud now, they're toxic or hateful or racist. Apparently, they don't cheer for Paige Bueckers because she advocates for social justice. Or Caitlyn should have picked Angel Reese in the All-Star draft just to keep her fan base in check. Even the Phoenix Mercury got in on it with a not-so-subtle message implying Indianapolis isn't a safe place for players. It's wild because this ecosystem, the league, the players, the media is trying to diminish the player who's literally carrying the league's growth and punish the fans who made it possible. And they know it, but they'd rather protect their egos to hold on to power, which is hilarious because the second Caitlyn's fans tune out, that power disappears. And right now for the players, that power is everything. The players are in the middle of a tense CBA negotiation, and they're hoping to cash in riding the wave of a massive media rights deal that, let's be honest, is being driven almost entirely by Caitlyn Clark. But behind the scenes, there are real concerns because despite what the media says, despite what the players say, the owners know the truth. This league is heavily reliant on Caitlyn's appeal. When she's out, ratings and ticket prices don't just dip, they crater by 50% or more. And that's not normal. Not in any other league.
I can't imagine, folks, you know how many NBA players can get injured? And the prices would never drop to this low. LeBron James can be injured, Steph Curry could be injured, Kevin Durant could be in, and the prices still will not drop to be this low. $75? Folks, I'm sure there's some high school football teams down in Texas that charge you at least $75 to get to.
So, when Caitlyn Clark was ruled out of the All-Star Game, it put the players in a brutal position. This was supposed to be a marquee moment, the league's biggest spotlight, and suddenly they were on their own. No Caitlyn, no guaranteed ratings bump, just the players and a chance to prove they could carry the moment without her. And from the jump, it went sideways. Ticket prices dropped 48% the moment Caitlyn was ruled out, and that led to one big question. How bad would it get? Could the players pull off a miracle without her? Or would the numbers finally expose just how deep this dependence really goes? Well, the ratings are in. And ESPN, they went full damage control.
3-point contest. ESPN, ABC, and Disney score the historic viewership for the 2025 WNBA All-Star events. Friday, July 18th, ESPN airs the most watched WNBA skills and 3-point contest ever, averaging 1.3 million viewers, which is up 89% versus last year's WNBA skills and 3-point contest, up 89%.
The weekend actually started strong. The skills competition and 3-point contest saw a huge viewership bump over 2024, a great sign for the league. It looked like the players might actually pull it off. Maybe they could generate record numbers without Caitlyn Clark on the court. But then ESPN went right back to their old tricks.
All-Star Game ratings from this past weekend was the second most watched WNBA All-Star Game ever, behind 2024. No surprise there. The 2025 WNBA All-Star Game was the most watched program of the night across all of TV. The night, not the day. With 2.2 million average viewers, up 158% from the 2023 WNBA All-Star.
Did you catch it? They compared the All-Star Game ratings to 2023, the year before Caitlyn Clark entered the league. Even though just a few lines earlier, they had compared the skills competition to 2024 in the same post. So why the sudden change? Gee, I wonder. Maybe it's because last year's All-Star Game, the one that did feature Caitlyn Clark, pulled in 3.4 million viewers. This year, 2.2 million. That's a 36% drop. 1.2 million fewer viewers. Gone. And instead of owning that, they buried it. Can you imagine saying Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the NBA's all-time leading scorer, and then putting a little asterisk that says except for LeBron? That's what this is. A deliberate choice to spin the numbers in a way that sounds impressive without telling you what really happened, because most people are busy. They see 2.2 million viewers and up 158%, and think the league's exploding in popularity. They don't have time to look closer, and ESPN knows it. So, yes, the numbers are technically accurate, but the way they're framed, it's designed to mislead, to tell a story that isn't real, to make it sound like this year's All-Star Game was, get this, historic. Not this is historic.
This is historic. Like they were like, scored historic viewership. How is it historic when it's like half of last year? Last year was nearly 4 million. How is it historic when it's like half of last year?